Oh,
All right, hey everybody, it's Metal Truthers with Wraith. I'm here with Brandon once again. We're bringing y'all a different kind of episode. We're kind of going to take the channel not necessarily in a different direction. We're still going to bring y'all what we consider, truth and our theories and stuff, but we're going to kind of take a little bit of a break from the constant just everything's World War III, everything's this and that. We're still going to do as soon as we finish this episode, we've got a news episode for y'all, but we're going to kind of take the channel in a slightly different direction in a way, more towards we want to discuss what we consider, I guess you would call it paranormal, what we would consider cryptids and UFOs, and just kind of discussing the out there fringe topics that no one else really tries to cover on because of the whole, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy thing. But, Brandon, let's give them your thoughts on it and, give them your input for now, and then we'll kick it off with whatever subject you want to start with.
Honestly, I think we're going to stick more to the, keeping it in the direction you just explained to them. Keep it going more that way than anything, because everything that's going on right now, in the political world, there's just too much. They're watching everybody too close, and I really don't, want to be driving down the road and, accidentally blow a tire and commit suicide.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to be suicided because we, said the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Exactly.
And I mean, there's also in the UK, they're trying to pass bills right now to basically what they consider fake news by the UN standards or whatever is going to be, I guess you would say, classified as Russian agents. Like they're trying to pin them all off as Russian operatives working for, the Russian government, which I guess when you level that out to real life perspectives, that could mean they could charge you with espionage, with traitor, basically, being a traitor to your country. And, if anything, we love our country. We hate our government and what they're doing, but, we do love our country. So there's reasons why we're doing this. Plus, I've always been more, heartfelt about the cryptids and the urban legends, the alien encounters, things like that have always fascinated me. It's actually one of the main subjects I study into, and, things like the Nephilim and giants and, all these ancient civilizations and this ancient technology that they had that, the government keeps hidden from us.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's what we're going to talk about,
Yeah, just like when the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids, they had knowledge of electrical power.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I was telling you earlier, there's theories that you could call it the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of Gabriel. Those kind of things are actually, were basically energized, maybe possibly like a sort of a plasma weapon of, One thing I'm going to, like I told you earlier, I said I was going to put this out at the beginning of the episode, so I'm going to go ahead and state this to everyone, and, and feel free in the comments, leave your theories on this as well, but my personal theory on things like UFOs and cryptids and like the Bigfoot, the chupacabras and the goat man, the lizard men, things like that, these creatures that everyone always has said they have these sightings, but no one can ever seem to get a clear picture. No one can ever catch a video of them. And if they do, it's always super blurry or the cameras mess up and, things of that nature. Well, I kind of have a theory about why you cannot, I do not believe that you can in any shape, form, or fashion get videos or pictures of these creatures, because in my mind, I believe that these creatures are, how would you say, interdimensional, basically. Like, they're a form of, and when they come through, that's why a lot of the times people say in their encounters they hear like this popping sound. Like, you also hear when in stories with like the black-eyed children. You know, there'll be this little pop sound, and then it almost sounds like something falls out of the sky to earth, and then all of a sudden, you know, you hear your growls and this, that, and the other. Well, what my personal theory is, maybe these things aren't necessarily earthbound. Same thing with aliens. Maybe it's not that they're interplanetary, it's that they're interdimensional. And that's why, you know, electronical components don't really work around these creatures, and why we can't capture them, and why we just can't get that evidence. And maybe why even, like, when people claim to have hurt these creatures, you know, there's no blood, there's no bodies. Maybe it's because they're interdimensional, and once you harm their physical form that they're using in our dimension, per se, you know, once you harm that outer shell, that creature disappears. You know, it goes back to the dimension it came from.
I can see that being logical. You know, I mean, you know, just like us, if we go out somewhere and we get hurt, odds are we're going to go back to where we came from.
Yeah, and I mean, if you talk to people who, you know, are involved in meditation or have out-of-body experiences or interdimensional experiences overall, these people always have stories and accounts of and their recollections like they had no idea of time. Like time didn't have there was no concept of it while they were in these other planes, which if that's the case, that would also explain the time loss with alien abductions. You know, would explain the time loss with Bigfoot encounters and things like that, you know? Because they basically, when you encounter these creatures, maybe it's even, you're still in the world, but you're in another dimension in the same spot that you were technically in. And since time is only relative to us, it doesn't really, it wouldn't exist in another dimension.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that might explain why people lose time in these experiences, because there is no time. They got sucked into the other dimension for a brief period of time during whatever their encounter is, you know, whether it be an abduction or, you know, there's been so-called encounters of like Sasquatch abducting people. And, you know, then there's people that are supposedly kidnapped by giants, things like that. But then 20, 30 years down the line, they show up, you know, not haven't aged a day and things like that, you know, like, I mean, I think we have to take into account that these people may be having an interdimensional experience,
right.
You know, and that's why we have no proof. That's why they don't have any concept of time. That's why things aren't remembered exactly right, because they were taken to another dimension altogether, which is so outside of our own that, you know, our theories of logic and our reasoning and our time had no effect on them in that dimension. So, you know, what we see as 30 years to them was like maybe not even 30 seconds,
right.
You know? So, I mean, it's just things that we have to take into consideration. And, you know, that I think this is another reason, like, why I believe that you can't just disprove the existences of creatures, you know, anything from, you know, people might say it sounds stupid or that I'm retarded for saying this, but, you know, it's kind of the same reason that you can't just say that Bigfoot doesn't exist, vampires aren't real, werewolves aren't real. You have no idea. Maybe it's not that they aren't real. Maybe it's not that we can't find them. It's that they're interdimensional and they're only seen when they want to be seen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my personal take on it, you know?
Right.
What, baby?
No. Anyway.
But yeah, so, I mean, you see where I'm coming from, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I've really been looking into, you know, a lot of people that hear this are probably going to think we're, you know, retarded or we're, you know, hardcore nut jobs or something like that. But Something I've been looking into lately is the flat Earth conspiracy.
Well, I've looked into that a lot too, and I've got to say the science can't necessarily be knocked. Like, I'm still a globist. Now, get that, I still believe at this moment in time we live on a ball that's floating through space. But then again, my ideas of space are completely different than most people's. Like, I don't necessarily believe that space as we know it exists the way they've told us.
Right.
And I also don't believe that we ever went to the moon simply because of the fact that just, what was it, last year or earlier in 2016, they basically said that the reason we're not going to Mars yet is because they can't figure out how to get us past the radiation field, which is right outside our atmosphere, which is blocking us from space exploration. So I have to ask, well, how the fuck did we get past it the first time to get those people onto the moon so that they could survive? And how did they survive it to come back and tell us that they went to the moon?
Exactly.
I'm just saying there's a lot of inaccuracies that are coming out, and it's almost like they figured that the millennials weren't alive to see the moon landing, so we don't know what happened. We don't know the story. Therefore, we're just going to be like, oh, cool. No, motherfucker, like, part of America's history, what made us so fucking great in everyone's eyes to begin with, was we were the first nation into space.
Well, we weren't the first into space. Russia was the first
the Russians
into space.
were.
We were
But we were the first ones to send somebody up and have them come back down.
Right. Another huge inaccuracy, if Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, who was it that set the camera up on the moon?
Who took his fucking picture?
Exactly.
Not only that, but then you get even further into it, and the flag that so profoundly we stuck on the moon is blowing in the breeze in the picture.
Yep.
Well, I don't know how many of you actually know anything about space.
But
I really don't.
There's not supposed to be any breeze out there.
Yeah, there's no breeze in space. There's no wind.
And if there's no wind, the flag wouldn't wave. It would just stick straight out.
Well, yeah, if there's no wind, then the flag would be standing completely still in space. And that would also, because, one of the big things that they try to bullshit us all about with the Black Knight satellite is that the Black Knight satellite's just some sort of blanket that got lost from a previous space mission, and it's just kind of orbiting now. But the reason it looks all distorted is because there's no wind in space, so it's not waving about. It's stuck in whatever form it was when it got lost out.
Exactly.
So again, there we just completely blew their fucking flag out of the water,
Yeah.
And of course, once again, these are still the type of topics that, we can always get on, one thing I want to do some research into and I want us to cover at some point is the Skinwalker Ranch, but we have to be careful covering into things like the Skinwalker Ranch because a lot of people that have gotten too in-depth into these topics magically disappear.
Of course.
They either magically disappear, or they magically decide one day, even though they love their lives and their families and their kids, that, suicide's the best way to go when you're on top of the world.
Yeah, that's...
It always seems that right as you're about to drop the most controversial piece of news to ever touch the ears of man, all of a sudden you just decide suicide's a better way out.
I just made $1 million. My wife is awesome. I've got a great kids that I live each and every day for. I think I'm going to put a bullet in my head when I get home.
Yeah, I just found the greatest archaeological find in the fucking 21st century, but I'm going to go ahead and drink some rat poison. It's this kind of stuff. Actually, I found out just the other day that this lady that we're doing a job for right now, her husband's retiring at the end of this month, and, like, they've been saving up their money and stuff. He's real big into archaeology, and he wants to go to, like, some of the, you know, archaeological sites around Texas and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm going to give her my email address, and, like, should they find something that, you know, maybe no one else has seen before, should they ever come across anything, I want them to email me pictures, like, immediately, so we can get that information out there to you people before, you know, somebody like the Smithsonian comes in and just tries to fuck it all up.
Right. Try to get the truth out before they cover it up.
Exactly, you know?
You know, because, I mean, you never know. Like, I mean, you know, going back to the moon landings, if you look at the spacesuit that's on display at the Smithsonian Institute and look at the pictures of the footprints supposedly on the moon, it's two different boots.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the ones in the Smithsonian are flat. The ones pictured on the moon are, they have ridges in them.
Exactly, and you know, it also comes to a point that we have to think, you know, as human beings, you know, we have to figure, I mean, it's that thing that history repeats itself, that there's nothing new on this planet, that it's all been done before.
Right.
I mean, we look at the pyramids, and yet we try to convince ourselves that ancient man was primitive as fuck, and yet we're looking at these structures that even today we still can't replicate it.
Right.
You know? It's like we sent the men to the moon and back, apparently, but, like, we can barely, in 2017, get a fucking satellite up into space without some sort of complication.
Yeah. Just like that supply ship to the supposed ISS, I believe it was sometime last year. They tried to send it off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, and it barely made it above the launch pad. And it, you know, it just erupted into a fireball.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got all this kind of stuff going on, and then it's more or less like trying to think outside the box, like using your own intellect to figure out, like, you know, when you're being lied to. I mean, let's be honest, most of us that listen to this kind of stuff and we're into the truthers movement, a lot of us, it's because we have kids, you know,
right.
And we want to provide a better world for them in the long run, you know,
exactly.
Expose the corruption before it takes control of our children, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, being a parent, you know when your fucking kid's lying.
Well, yeah.
Like, it doesn't even have to be a blatant lie that's just obvious, you know, like when they draw it on the wall and you're like, did you do that? And they're like, no, that's a blatant lie, you know. But, like, even little lies, like, you know, that you'd have to investigate to actually you know, prove it.
Right.
Nonetheless, you know when your kid's lying to you. It's the same thing when the government lies to us. Like, there's something subconsciously that you can pick up on and you go, hey, I think they just bullshitted me.
Yeah, it just kind of clicks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, it's pretty obvious. You know, one of my biggest questions, though, is why would they lie about the shape of the Earth? You know, just saying the Earth possibly is flat. Why would they lie about that?
Well, because, think about this, man. Humans love to explore, right?
Yeah.
They can't keep Antarctica cordoned off forever.
No.
Eventually, especially with drones and shit, freelance explorers, regular everyday people, are going to want to go see what's going down. Well, here's the thing. If we knew the world was flat and that basically Antarctica is just a wall that's blocking us from, say, the Atlanteans, these fucking super advanced civilizations that came over here and built all these pyramids.
Right.
And then they went back across that ice shelf to stay away from us because they realized, oh shit, these things are fucking insane. You know? maybe they tried to work with humanity, figured out, hey, these guys just won't get with the program. They're too full of hate and blah, blah, blah. So then they dipped off, and they left us here by ourselves, basically. They went on the other side of that wall, and they're living in peace and plenty. All right? Now, say that everybody knew that the world was flat, and that's just a wall, so that once if we make it over that wall, man, everything opens up. We get to find out about the technologies that have been hidden. We get to find out about all this stuff. Maybe even like making it over that wall would automatically like eliminate all the toxins they put into you throughout your entire life. You know, your third eye opens up. You become more of a enlightened being just from stepping over that threshold. You know, let's just say that this is a theory. It's a speculation, all right? So, like, say that you cross there, you're immediately enlightened, sickness, death, pain, all this shit is gone, right?
Right.
Would you not, if you were the rich, powerful elite, the Luciferian design that wants to keep the entire populace under control and keep us dumbed down and scared and in this constant wavelength of fear and turmoil, wouldn't you want to lie to us, tell us that the world's a ball and keep us from ever wanting to go over that wall?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
So,
so basically
you can look at it like that.
Greed.
I mean, that would also explain all the secrecy about Antarctica.
Yeah.
It would explain why it's the only continent in the world that people are not allowed to fucking visit.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's definitely cold over there. Motherfucker, I've got a jacket.
Yeah, for real. And jackets that's made for those temperatures are not that hard to come by.
I mean, in all reality, if I had the money and I wanted to, I would stock up on all kinds of shit, dude. I'd look like a fucking polar bear ISIS member. I'd be so covered up. But I'd fucking go explore the shit out of Antarctica. I'd go dance with the penguins, club the baby seals, all kinds of shit. You know?
That's messed up.
Oh, dude, no, you want to hear a really messed up idea? I've decided what I'm going to do if I ever become the president. I'm going to name our missiles Gay Wells for Christ. That way, every time I launch a missile at another country, the news has to report, America just launched Gay Wells for Christ at Russia. The death toll is immense. The gay whales have struck again in New Zealand.
I'm pretty sure we probably just lost some of our Christian viewers for that.
They can go fuck themselves. It's supposed to be fun, people. It's supposed to be fun. You can't laugh. Yeah. If you can't laugh, just wait until we get further into it like we have in our other episodes where we kind of lay out there that, all right, me and you talked about this earlier. Let's wrap up the episode on this note, and then people will see why we have the ideas, and we're able to look outside the box and say, okay, maybe aliens exist. Maybe Sasquatch does exist. He's really hairy and smelly. You know, like, it's because me and you talked about this. You know, right now we label ourselves as pagans, and I do believe that there are multiple entities that keep everything together because I think this is too immense. Life itself is too immense for one deity to handle this all on their own.
And I agree with you, especially if there's, you know, life on other planets, other solar systems, etc.
Exactly, or even interdimensional life. Even if there's multiple dimensions, that would mean that these omnipotent creatures, these creations, these energies, would have to control parallel universes, infinite amounts of parallel universes, okay? That's string theory. So
exactly.
You got these multiple energies, but all right, we're being called to do this, people. Like, I didn't wake up one morning and go, I want YouTube views. I'm going to fucking make a channel about World War III. I don't like talking constantly and listening constantly. about this kind of shit. I woke up and I can't go back to sleep. I didn't choose to wake up either. It wasn't a conscious decision. I didn't wake up one day and go, I don't trust the government, you know?
Well, no.
Like, dude, something called us to do this. It brought us together through Facebook, and next thing you know, throughout all the, 20 people that were like, yeah, I'm down, you're the only one that got on board with me.
Yeah.
And then we're attracted to the same people we get. Like, when we listen to stuff, we listen to the exact same people, and I didn't even have to tell you to go check these people out. You were like, hey, man, do you listen to Dabu? Hell yeah, I listen to Dabu. Do you listen to Kev Baker? Hell yeah, I listen to Kev Baker. Do you listen to Not Reg Me? Hell yeah, I listen to Not Reg Me. You see what I'm saying? Like, we were already synced up, synchronicity, man. And that's a different part of the program. And I've been thinking about it a lot through the past few months. And I'm starting to, like, I'm having this question within myself of, like, what if, you know, let's not call it the Christian God, because I personally believe that the book, the Bible, that part of it is not right. It was designed to control people. It was corrupted. The book itself was written by man to control man, to keep them away from the higher power. That's why they put a bunch of non-existent, names, people that you can't historically prove existed. That's why they're in this book. So I think that we are more or less, because we've lived our lives spiritually, but like not under any guise. No fucking, there is no label for me. There is no label for what I believe in. There is no label to, I don't belong to a denomination. So when I'm a good person, I'm not doing it because, Christians are supposed to be good people. I don't believe in Christianity, but I do believe that we're serving something a lot higher than ourselves.
Right.
And like, it made us do what we're doing right now, you know?
Yeah.
We're not, they're like I've always said, the fates control it all. We don't control this little journey we're on.
No.
We can make some little conscious decisions which can slightly alter the path here and there, but if you really want to look at it, I believe that the fates only allow it to be altered enough to where you can learn another lesson, and then they bring you right back to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
I don't think they allow you to deviate from the course.
They don't, because we've tried.
Exactly. I mean, I was a Luciferian for fucking most of my life. And look at me now, like, I'm fighting against them.
In an ironic turn of events.
Exactly.
But
so,
like, it was just crazy perfect timing. Like, you know, like you said earlier, you posted on Facebook that you wanted to do the show. And, like, it was just ironic timing because the day you posted that, I was planning on starting my own show.
And the topics, I mean, synchronicity, dude. Like, when did I tell you we were going to take this show to this direction? I think we'll wrap it up in, like, 10 minutes here, all right? 10 minutes, something like that. But
probably like a week.
It was like what?
Before Christmas, maybe?
Yeah, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I told you that we were going to take this to a new direction. Well, I didn't even have to tell you necessarily what I wanted to take it in the direction of. You see what I'm saying? Like, you already knew before I even had to tell you. You know, when I said I wanted to take this in a more fringe direction, you immediately knew. I was talking more along what we've always talked about, like the demons, the aliens, the fucking pyramids, the technologies of the past.
Right.
So just everybody needs to realize we are not doing this because we're selling out. Nobody's paying us still. We're not doing this for YouTube likes. We're doing this because this is part of the truth to me. In my heart, I believe that most of these encounters that people have are real. I do believe that a lot of it may be demonic, but then again, demons are interdimensional beings.
Absolutely.
Aliens, in my opinion, are interdimensional beings. we've been convinced that they're interplanetary because I really do believe that the higher powers don't want us understanding parallel universes. They don't want us to understand that there's multiple layers of dimensions right outside of each other, and that sometimes they just so happen to merge. It seems to happen a lot when CERN's around, you know? And that's another thing I wanted to point out to people, all right? These things have been happening for centuries and centuries, I get that. But have you noticed in the, let's say, the 20th and 21st century, maybe even in the 1900s or the 19th century, things like that, these sightings started to get more and more frequent, and more like bizarre creatures were starting to show up and things. Now, a lot of people know about CERN, the Large Hadron Collider. But how many little Hadron Colliders were out there before CERN was ever built? And that was built in, what, 1980-something? And since CERN has been built and operational, we have seen sightings of everything from demons to aliens exponentially.
Yeah.
So, just grow. Now, think about this. CERN was obviously a bigger production of something that they had already been doing, right?
Yeah.
So that would tell you that there were little Hadron Colliders that we don't even fucking know about. We probably still don't know about all of them. And maybe these things are why these creatures have been able to show up so frequently within our modern century, because we have been tearing holes in the dimensions since probably close to 1900.
Yeah. I mean, they just kept it hidden from us because they didn't want us to know they had that kind of technology.
Well, not only that, but could you think about, like, the mass? Like, say everything that we're saying tonight comes out to be proven fact, it's true. And we're going to end the episode on this so that y'all can think about it tonight. But what would you do if the government came out tomorrow, and I'm not saying you're an awake person, you're an average person that doesn't believe in the paranormal, you're maybe even a churchgoer that's never thought outside the box a day in your life. How would you react if your government came out tomorrow and told you, hey, by the way, everything you know is a fucking lie, everything's interdimensional, vampires are real, ghosts are real, demons are real, Sasquatch is real, and they're all from another dimension, which means they're always around you. You just can't see them unless they want you to see them. Right. Now, think about how you would react to that.
Most people would go nuts. They wouldn't know what to think.
So, to end this episode, and I hope y'all like where we're taking this. I mean, tonight's a little bit scattered because this is our first go-around. We didn't necessarily decide that we wanted to focus on a specific cryptid or a specific ancient technology or a specific anything tonight. We're more or less this episode is to let y'all know that we are branching out into the more of the paranormal, the fringe topics. Let's just call it that. We're branching more into the fringe topic because that's where we feel, that's where we're being called to go. Put it that way.
Yeah. Kind of an introductory.
Exactly, because, and just take it from another look like this, and this is for all my, our diehard Christian fans out there, like we actually have any. Given that y'all believe so heartedly in the book, if the book is real and we're wrong about everything other than the stuff we're talking about, then this is the period of revelations that we're in. We're going to see creatures that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it lies, That's where we're looking at it from. For now, take it as you will. Like I said, I don't believe in the book. I believe the book was intentionally written to throw us off the right track. So, but we're going to leave that at that. We hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We hope that y'all enjoy where we're going to be taking this. Of course, our next episode will be a little bit longer. Like I said, this is an introduction. We didn't want to even focus on a specific topic tonight. So,
and for
we're going to be dropping 2 or 3 of these a week, more than likely, of this type, and then once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on breaking news, stuff like that. we'll be doing our, geopolitical news and stuff like that on another playlist. It'll be on the same channel, but,
Different.
that'll be
Different time.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be just, we'll do those probably once a week, probably on a weekend, because to be honest, I'm tired of wrapping my life up with this fucking nonsense that we can't. I mean, sure, we're talking about it on YouTube. Y'all listen. What the fuck are we changing any of it? Is it still going on? Have we stopped it?
Nope.
Are y'all willing to protest pedophilia? No, but y'all are willing to protest Donald Trump getting elected. So that's why we're turning the channel a little bit away. We're fed up. We're fed up with all the bullshit politics and the bullshit people. We did this because we enjoy enlightening people to things that they don't normally think about. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're just going to take it in a different realm so that I can somewhat enjoy my life. Right. I was getting angry and depressed listening to this shit all the fucking time. And then knowing that we're seeing people subscribe, but y'all never comment, y'all never share the videos, y'all don't go out there and start your own channels, y'all don't get involved, y'all aren't active, and that's what pisses us off. That's why we're going to do something that we enjoy doing. So you can stick with us or you can walk away. We don't give a fuck.
Yep. For the people that do listen, I've got some homework for y'all. There's a small town about an hour from my house, from where I live here in Alabama, that was strictly founded on UFO sightings. It's called Fife, Alabama. Look it up. It's Fyffe. Look it up when y'all get a chance. It's a small town. It's a very small town, and it was literally founded because of a UFO sighting.
Yeah, I remember the stories about that, actually. I've seen that come up in a lot of videos. In fact, it was, if I remember correctly, it was one of the first towns that ever had a situation where a pastor admitted to seeing a UFO.
It was.
That completely threw the fringe theory off, and it also started the whole aliens are demons thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
it's a little mountaintop town. So I mean,
and that's another thing I want to get into. In fact, our next episode, we're going to let y'all know, because like I said, we're wrapping this up in the next 2 minutes. Our next episode, I think we're going to discuss, the alien encounters and the abductions, and the fact that if you've noticed, there's there seems to be specific areas that get hit the hardest, and that's mountain areas, forested areas, and then it's mainly happens in large open field, plain areas. You never really see or hear too much about it over the ocean.
Yep.
You never really hear too much about it in metro urban cities. It always seems to be out in remote areas that are close to mountains or close to
isolated.
And another thing, and this is something I noticed, and you people do your own research, but if you actually look at a lot of these encounters and you start to dot them out on a map, a lot of these encounters happen on ley lines.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there, that's something we can all research into and try and piece together and figure out maybe that's the big connecting thing with them. Maybe that's when you get abducted, is when you just so happen to be on this magnetic line of power that dude, every monolithic structure in the world is set up on these ley lines. They're perfectly set up on these lines. So that would tell me, there's something to it. But that's a topic for our next episode, of course. Yeah. That would be, if we keep talking, this episode's going to go on for another hour.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think we'll just call it right here. Remember, guys, do your homework on Fife, Alabama. Fyffe, Alabama. Keep that in mind. That's going to be a huge topic in our next episode.
Yep. So we'll keep it real, keep it metal, and next episode, like I said, we're going to talk about more of the UFOs stuff, and we're going to probably cover into the supposed UFO battle that happened in Antarctica with Nazi alien spacecraft. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting episode. So, y'all keep y'all's eyes open for that. That'll probably either happen tomorrow or Saturday. And, of course, we're going to do one more episode for y'all tonight as far as geopolitical goes, but y'all should probably look forward to Saturday or Sunday being our main episode where we're going to cover into some news that's gone by that we didn't cover into back in the past few weeks, and we're going to cover into what's been breaking over the past few days, and, we'll just get into more of that. So y'all keep it real, keep it metal, and we'll catch you on the flip side.